All right. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon, everyone. Let me see if we can get this down a little bit in my headphones. Hopefully this is okay. It is, what is the day today? It's Monday afternoon, September 18th. So this is the PM stream coming to you live. And yeah, I'm going to mix it up today. So basically, for those that are new to this, in the morning, I usually stream Blender and some of my 3D work that I'm working on in there. And then in the afternoon, I do a lot of experimentation. So usually Unreal Engine, Fortnite for Unreal Engine, some kind of more interactive fun stuff. But if you watched the stream last week, I was running into some technical difficulties with some of the terrain data. So as much as I would love to get that solved on the stream, it makes for a unbelievably boring stream, more boring than the normal, of working in Blender and 3D. But I had got some progress this morning on Blender, and I was pretty happy with where I got, and I kind of felt like I was cut off right in the middle of it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to work on Blender today, and we'll mix it up, and I'll show you where we're at, and then we'll come back, and tomorrow we'll be back at it on Unreal Engine. So if I flip over to Blender, this should move to the bottom. Perfect. Okay, so here's where we're at, and you should see in the bottom corner, you should see some cool reference photos. And these reference photos are of a kind of an airship / balloon from another piece of art, one that I really, really appreciate, admire. It's a series about this little character called Lily from an artist, Ryan Talbot. And I chatted with him quickly today. He's going to actually get me the 3D file for this, but I feel like I've kind of gotten so far with this that I'd like to at least complete, a pretty decent version of it. And then if he sends me the 3D file, I don't know what format he's going to send it to me in. If it easily imports and, we can get it up and running, we'll use his authentic file. But I didn't want to leave this where it was. I want to kind of see, modeling is not my expertise. So I was kind of curious to see how far I could get. And then, when I see that file from him, how far off I was in terms of what he did. So I think we're going to continue it. And if we don't get, if we don't get too far with this, we're going to go, we've got a couple other things to work on anyway. So what I'm going to do is the first thing is I'm going to save a new file. We're working on trying to save a different file for each stream so we can go back. So we'll save this as 1.3.9. I guess tomorrow we'll be up to 1.4. And then if you take a look at this list, 1.3.9, we ended up doing mostly this. We didn't get very far, but we can cross this off. We didn't do the netting on the tops. We started to do a bit of the ropes. And we'll go here. So we'll grab this list and we'll just continue down here. Okay, so where we were left off on the last stream, where I'm just going to kind of keep at it today. Let me just run another test. I don't know if my actual stream... Oh, I just realized something. Give me a second here. Settings, embed in stream. Just I was experimenting with. I've been experimenting with like a Restream as a tool that I use to schedule my streams out to different platforms, and I was experimenting with. There we go. Send a little test. GM. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I was experimenting with running events, and it is definitely kind of buggy. It works. Definitely cool to see like a thumbnail go up and an event scheduled on Facebook and on YouTube. But the problem is the way that the chat works. You have to specifically set up each chat, and it kind of gets confusing. Versus this, I can just go live, and I instantly can see. I can see who's watching the stream. I can see the chat. I can send out chats to different places. It's pretty well set up. I'm actually going to test something here. I'm just curious if this actually works. So you get to see. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. So you can see here in the bottom corner, this is the viewers. And I was curious if that would work. It looks like it does. I think it's connected. Seems to match. So if people come in from Facebook or Twitter, it doesn't work with Twitter. Sorry, Facebook or YouTube. Those numbers will go up. I don't know if it's a little annoying to have it on the screen because it will block a bit of my screen capture. So maybe I'll close it. But yeah, I think it's kind of a cool feature. So learning everything about OBS and Streamlab and Restream, it's like a whole new world that I've never really dove into, and it's pretty exciting. Those that have watched this know that like I started in 3D just about 2.5 years ago, and it's been kind of like this crazy journey. It's exciting to learn new things and new software and experiment. And 3D's been that for me. It's kind of changed my life in terms of how I think about art and what's possible and what I can create. And the streaming has a similar feeling to me. I think it's based on video production and audio production and sort of understanding those basic levels. And then you get into live streaming. It's just like crazy, beautiful coordination of, what screens you're showing, what overlays, interactivity, and you're really putting on a production. And to be able to do that seamlessly while I work is going to be something that I think is going to be a bit of a superpower. Things like automating clips. Like I've seen videos of like if something happens on the stream that's interesting, or if I have a certain moment, I can get that last 30 seconds or 60 seconds and it can automatically cut it into like a little TikTok video or Twitter video. And I can see it in my head how it all comes together and how this can be a great way to sort of interact with the community, have people drop in, both myself working as well as maybe other artists sometimes. People who are my collectors, supporters can ask questions, or, we can talk about my plan and roadmap. And then on top of that, the cool part is, I'll have clips that I can share out for obviously the best parts that happen and all sorts of fun stuff. So, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm really pumped about the world of streaming, and it's definitely one that I, have a lot to learn, including, sitting and staring at my phone as I'm doing this. But yeah, I got a lot to learn. But I think if you look at my streams in 2 weeks ago when I started this, it was pretty rough. The audio didn't work, and half the time the screen was black. I had no idea what I was doing. I feel like I've made some progress, and I have ideas that I think are going to be really, really cool that I've never seen anyone do on streams before. So you have to stick with me and watch as I kind of figure this stuff out. Okay, let's talk about some Blender stuff and get into some modeling. And as always, if you have questions, just hit me up in the chat. And I'm always happy to kind of take a little road trip, detour, and talk about some of the processes and stuff that I'm doing. But what I'm doing right now, and I'll usually explain what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll go super quiet just because I'm working on something that I'm particularly find challenging. But I try to talk through it as I go. Okay, so what we've got something really cool, but also something that I'm struggling with a little bit. And what it is we've got a rope that we have created. And if we look at our reference, let me get my reference up, Cathedral. But if you look at your reference that you see on the screen, what we're looking at here is these ropes, and you don't have a full, well, we can go full screen for a second here. Look at that. It's pretty cool. So this is the airship that Ryan created, and I don't know if he used some assets, if he did this from scratch, how he did this, but it's really cool, and I'm really excited to incorporate it into this work, and it sounds like he's good with it. But just the detail, the hand drawings, all this like little lore stuff that he's put in here, I'm really pumped about. And like as a 3D artist, you learn these little lessons, like all this little detail. Man, it really is exciting, and it really adds a lot to what you're doing. And it's fun to learn it as you go. So we're gonna, work on improving this model. There's a bunch of stuff that I've got to work on, but the one that I'm working on right now is stringing some ropes on this actual, on this balloon. And what we've got, put this back, we'll go back to Blender. So you can always see what I'm kind of working on as a reference, usually here in the bottom of the screen. And, there's some stuff around the balloon and how he's got it kind of like, he's got it, kind of that balloon shape. I think that's going to be, I have a feeling that I'm going to be able to figure that out. I kind of just basically got to select, every other line. We'll see. I'm just going to, might as well try this while I'm here. Reshaping this balloon is something that I had on my list. It's also something that I probably screwed up. I'm going to guess it's 50-50 shot, but making sure that you have the correct number of, vertices so you can do what I'm doing right now. Yeah, it looks like I do, luckily. So you can do this. And then what I'm just sort of thinking about is, scaling this down. You can just sort of scale this down. I mean, if I add some more, like a subdivision or something, or just add more geometry to this, I'm thinking that probably scaling this down will be enough to give it a little bit of texture. Nothing too crazy. But, yeah, that's not exactly what I wanted, but you get the idea. So that's something we'll do after. I don't want to mess with this yet. But let's focus on these ropes. Okay, so the good news is we got this rope here, and we have it sort of set up properly to kind of go between this top piece. It's wrapped around right now, and then it goes down here. It does a wrap around on this one, and then it's going to connect down to here. We may end up changing this, but I think for now this is kind of a cool look, and I like the idea of these three kind of connecting together. So the problem that I've been looking at is I'm trying to sort of understand a little bit around origins of objects and how it relates to creating an array. So the basic idea that I'm trying to do right now is, if we go back over here, we look for this. We've got a curve, we got a mesh. Is what I've been trying to do is create a, I have been trying to create an array that will let these ropes basically spread around the outside. So I think I have a fairly reasonable understanding of this, but I don't know if I'm maybe missing something. So I'm just going to try again what I did and see. I think that there's an empty down there. I just don't know where it went. I guess we'll just do another one. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty. We're going to bring it up. Okay. And I think like things like the scale and all that is where this could be affected. And hopefully this all works out when I do it. So yeah, let's see. Okay, that's interesting. Oh man, you learn these things of like how to get it right the first time, because you really can run into issues. So interesting. That's gonna deform that. Okay, so I think maybe if we hit both of these. Nope. Nope. So you quickly can realize, like, that might cost me and have to figure that out first. But let's just try this anyway. Okay, so what we were trying to do is we were trying to do an array of these around the outside. And I think that it has to do with the origin point of this object. And I think if we move that origin point to this middle point, this may end up working, but I don't 100% know. So let's just try this. So this is the array. We're going to put it down to 2. And basically right now, it's just on a relative offset. So we're going to turn that off. And we've got it paired to here. And I don't know if this is the old one, but let's pair it to, or let's empty it to this. Okay, so this is what we get. And I think this has to do with the scale, but I don't know for sure. I'm going to just test something. So I'm going to take the rope mesh, and I'm going to turn on, what am I going to turn on? Affect only origins. I'm going to see if I can get a view here. I think it's this one here. And what I want to do is I want to move the origin point. Yeah, this is definitely not going to do it. It's definitely not going to do it. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is, since I didn't change anything, I want to just get a fresh file. And I want to sort of mess with this in a fresh file so I can kind of see how this is interacting and make sure I kind of understand it. So we'll start with a fresh file and just do this from scratch, and then it can sort of figure this out. So let's get rid of all of our stuff and let's bring this in. So I was watching this on a previous video, and basically the process, there's a couple different ways to do it, but let's do it the way that we did on the first one. So I don't think it matters which way we do, but we can do a circle. And in this particular one, we did is a circle, mesh, circle, oh man, mesh, add mesh, circle. Okay, I'm getting too much coffee in me. And, you know, they brought the vertices down to 12, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I think it usually to do with, you know, maybe it's just that they just did it to make it a little bit more performant. But now basically we want to do is we want to move this over here, something like this, or actually maybe down here. And then really what we were trying to do, and this is what I'm really curious about, is if I had moved that in, looking for the origins. So if I had moved that in object mode, so if you look at this object, we create it here, and if you move it in object mode, what happens is the origin moves. So I think what we did, and in the video, the guy did it without explaining this. I think he just did it. And I think I realize now what was going on. Because the origin point is here, I want to try to do this my way, which is I want to add a empty, and I'm going to just understand how this works. So add an empty and add a plane axis. And right now, the object is scale is fine. This scale is fine. And I'm curious just to see if this works the way that I want. So I'm going to turn on an array, and I'm going to make it an object offset, and I'm going to set it to the empty. And then if I rotate this empty, yes, okay. So rotate 120, okay. And then let's go 3. Okay, so there's a couple things here, and it's just to do with how far that offset was, which is interesting. Okay, so this, I think this is fine. I think what we need to do is just rotate. It's just weird that that one will not rotate. Okay, what happened there? So we rotate. Oh, okay. I think we have a duplicate situation. Okay, so let's turn this off. Okay. see what happens if we do this. Create a fixed count. We offset it to the empty. Weird. Like something went wrong there. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so we have our object here. We're going to move this object to this side. And then we're going to add the modifier. And it's going to be, well, first of all, we're going to add our empty plain axis. And then we're going to go to here. And we're going to add an array. And we're going to add a constant offset. No, we're going to add an object offset. And we're going to pick our empty. And then we're going to take the empty and we're going to rotate it. So really rotate 120. Okay. And then we're going to do back to our original, and we're going to change it to 3. Okay. So hopefully this is going to work the way that I want it to do. But basically what I want to do now is rotate this one. I swear to God. Okay. Yeah, like on first glance, I would say this is not rotating. Like, why is this one? Man, I don't know why that one would not rotate. I feel like they all should. It's really, really odd. It's really odd. Okay, let's get rid of that. The way that the guy did it on his, what he just went rotate 120. No, he went. Okay. So he changed the pivot point to the 3D cursor, and then he rotated 120. Right. So he duplicated this like that, and then duplicated rotate 120. This is how he did his. I just felt like if I could do this same thing with an array, I felt like we would be in a much better place. But I wonder, there's something probably I'm missing about that, because he changed like basically this to probably 45. And then I think he went duplicate, rotate 120, duplicate, rotate 120. So this was his approach. I've seen other ways to do it. I've seen people create like a single one and then like remove the interior into, basically make the shape of a rope. But yeah, I mean, I might have to figure out why that's not working. But then from here, we can add this screw modifier. And I think if we bring this up, what we get is something that looks like this. Let me see. Remember, access object, merge, stretch UVs. No. What did we do wrong here? I think it might just be the rotation, which goes back to, part of my problem with doing this is that you can't really fix anything after the fact. So yeah, the rotation should have been this way, right? So the rotation should be, the rotation of this one should be something like that. But now we've got 3 objects that are, different rotations, and that's where this gets kind of goofy, to be honest. So I don't know why that I can't get those. It seems obvious that this would work. So if we go to object mode and we add an array modifier and we set it to object, happened to my music. We need something to keep me calm here and focus. Let me see what we got. Moments of success, is that what we want? I'm just going to go with my lo-fi hip-hop one for now. All right, there we go. Hey, Evans, how you doing, man? Sorry, I just saw this now. Thanks for joining. If you know anything about array modifiers and creating ropes in Blender, hit me up. Yeah, we're just working away here. How's your day going? I gotta find a better way to get the chat to ding in my ear or something. I don't ever notice it, to be honest. Okay, so we know we can do this to offset these. We know we can offset them this way. All that's good. The question is, why did these two want to rotate and this guy doesn't? I can't wrap my head around it. There's something about like the mirror or something. What if we do 4? What if we do the offset like this? Do they all rotate? 2 rotate. That's something feels wrong about that. Like, why would they? It feels like, I don't think I've ever seen this before with. There we go. Okay, what happened? What changed? Is it the relative offset? Right? Like, I'm losing my mind that works. Why does that not work? Yeah, my day's okay. I'm kind of stubbornly trying to work through this stupid thing. Yeah, Blender, man. I love, like, I'm not gonna, you caught me in a moment because I'm just like, Blender, like anything else, if whatever you're working in, sometimes you just cannot get something to work, and then the second you do, you're like, I'm so stupid. That was like, it's always my fault. It's not like Blender's just stopped working. It's just something I'm not thinking about, and yeah, I'm stubbornly trying to understand a little bit about like offsets and all these weird things. But it's funny because it's not even the way that people did it. The way that most people were doing it was rotating this, like probably something like that. Again, say 45 degrees for now, and then they were just doing. Sorry, I gotta get this microphone out of the way. There we go. Yeah, they were just basically taking this and then duplicating it, rotating 120, duplicating, rotating 120, and then from here, then adding the screw modifier, which will bring you to something like this. So this is what we're just experimenting with and just seeing, we're trying to make a rope. And basically, at this point, you have it, so you have this modifier that will basically make any length of rope. But what we're looking at is a combination of, what's the right width, these things, what sort of looks good from a rope standpoint. There's some clipping in here, but that's all good. What are you into, Evans? Are you a photographer, videographer? None of the above? Any type of creative work you do? Let me know. I'm curious. And if you have questions, I'm happy to take a little sidebar on any of this stuff. Okay, so we now need to add a curve, and I want to again do this in a little different way. So we got our origin here. We're pretty good. We're going to add a curve, and we're going to add a Bezier. Okay, and then we're going to do is we're going to right away, we're going to get rid of, I want to get rid of all the points. Okay, so there should be just a single, I think there should be a single vertex now. Actually, there may not be. So we're going to set this one. Just want to get this like dead center, okay? And then what we're doing is we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to add this curve modifier, and we're going to set it to this this curve, and we're going to set the deform axis to the Z. And what this should do, with any luck, is if we click on the curve and we start to extrude, right, we should get a controllable a controllable rope, right? So I can move the rope over here. Now the reason why it's doing that is just because of the curve, but now with two of these things, you know, we have full control. We can move this wherever we want. This is just like in Photoshop. If you've ever used Photoshop, we're sort of just doing these curves. Yeah, I'm hoping. I've got it working. It's just like once I try to do something fancier with it, it really messes up, and I'm trying to kind of understand what I'm doing so that, you know, it's like one of those things of getting it to work versus understanding how it's working are two different things. And I really need to understand how it's working so that I can do this part of my project correctly. Did you do the donut tutorial, Evans? That's kind of the famous, you know, first Blender tutorial that a lot of people do. Did you try that one at all? Okay, so now I've seen this with parenting. So I want to see if I move this. Okay, so this is good. I can move this around. It seems to be fine. I can scale it up and down. It doesn't seem to affect anything. And the origin point is there. So if I change the origin to geometry, it's cool. It seems to now work. There doesn't seem to be an issue. If I go into the Bezier and I extrude out and I go to back to here and I just change this screw modifier to go further, it's following our curve. Okay, that's good. I was kind of curious how this, really wanted to draw this Bezier because I've only seen this work and I've never done it. I just thought maybe it would let me continue this journey, but I guess you can't do it. I'm sure there's a way. I just wanted to try to continue drawing this curve. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, so here's the idea. So we're going to set a curve just as an experiment here. You know, we're going to kind of just see, right? So here's our curve. We can modify this. You know, we're going to do just to kind of get some bit of a change. Okay, cool. So we've got our rope. And what I want to do is I want to just see if I turn this into an array now, what does it do? So if I add a modifier, add array, I don't know if it matters if it's before or after. I think it should be, definitely think it should be after. Okay. So we've got an array and it looks like it's doing what I want it to do. So it's kind of hitting, you know, we can change it this way. We can do the offset and go up. This is performing fine. So now we want to see about adding our empty. So now if we take this guy and we say, let's do an object offset and let's pick our empty. This is where it gets, kind of weird. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. I feel like it has to do with the scale. Yeah, this was kind of the issue I was having before. So at some point we scaled this. We didn't, well, we apply the scale. So there's something about the scaling of this that's really messing things up. That's, yeah, the donut is, I mean, it's funny because it's so, people talk about it all the time. But that donut tutorial, man, that got me. That's the one I would do. It's just, it teaches you in Blender. I mean, Blender's free. You can do almost anything in Blender. But to do the donut tutorial, it's like, you know, maybe it might take you, you know, an hour a night for a week, or it might take you, you know, one Saturday or Sunday. But you're going to learn about like texturing and shading. You're going to learn about modeling. You're going to learn about animation. You're going to learn everything. And it's just, it's very rewarding to finish that tutorial. And you'll see it when I go back to my actual art that I'm working on. I actually have my donut in that art as a tribute to how long it's been and how far I've come since that first donut tutorial. So really encourage you to try that if you're thinking about getting into this stuff. But also, I don't feel like I know anything right now because this is really kind of bothering me. It's just a basic lack of understanding of I think it has to do with the origin point, but I don't. I mean, the thing is, like, with what I'm doing in my scene, is that I could just apply everything. It's one of these, like, compromises that you have to kind of make all the time, right? It's like, here's this problem I don't have figured out. And my guess is if I just applied everything. So let's, for fun, let's do it. So I'm going to put my curve inside of my mesh as a parent. I think that was working okay. Though I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Don't know what that is. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. So I'm just going to apply the modifier to this. Okay, so now this is basically, we'll hide this one and hide this one. Okay, so this guy here is our mesh, and now it's basically normal. I think the origin point is there. And I feel like I can probably work with this one, though I don't actually know what these are. Okay, so let's do add empty plane axis. Just bring this up for now. Maybe I can kind of get my head around this. So if I add an array, change this object offset to the empty, turn that on. Yeah, it's the same problem. It's the same problem. The size matters of this thing, but that shouldn't. I feel like that should be it. But the size of this is what's really, I think, throwing it off. It's like, how can I get? Okay, that worked. That's because the modifiers are gone. So array constant. So I think this is right, because I think now if I change the origin point of this, yeah, and bring it here into the middle, I think it needs to be dead center, but I'm not 100% sure if it is. If I can see the location of it. Don't know if you can move this. Okay. Okay, I feel like that might work, and then I need to change the origin off of this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what did we learn here today? What we learned is that so you can do this. I think you can do that by the rotation. Like you want to rotate it. I think you want to rotate 360 divided by 7. Yeah, that should be it. Okay, so beautiful, right? Is that nice? Is that nice? So I started in COVID. So April 2020, when all my photography gigs got canceled, I learned Blender. I did the donut tutorial then in April of 2020, and then I had some family stuff happen. I couldn't really pick it up until probably November of that year. I didn't touch it after I did the donut tutorial. I kind of left it until November, and then I picked it up again and started working on a 3D animation with a bunch of satellite data. It was really more like technical project. I did learn a bit of Blender. I guess I did learn a lot of Blender, but it wasn't the most standard project. And then since then I've been kind of at it pretty much all the time. So we'd say it's been the beginning of 2021, so 21 and 22. We're getting into my third year, probably 3 years at this. And man, it's amazing how little and but okay, to summarize, just for my own benefit, because I look back at these streams, is that we know that the array modifier is going to work the way I was expecting, but it's only going to work if we actually have mesh that is to the proper scale. And adding the proper scale to that mesh, it looks like before we apply the modifier is where we ran into issues. So if we were to go back and recreate this, we got to figure out how to either apply the mesh first or line up everything so we can keep, ideally we would be able to keep those modifiers so that we could then adjust. We can't edit this rope. So we kind of are stuck because, we can't go back now and fix the rope and do it different. So we're going to try it on the next one and see if we can make a change. And I'm curious where this rope curve is. Yeah, we don't need the rope curve now because we have our mesh, but at least we have it. So we're going to keep this one because we made some progress, and then we're going to go from there on the new one. Okay, so back to my reference. We need to do the inside ropes. So the inside ropes, this is maybe the best. It looks like we've got these ropes done. Then we got, looks like a bunch of ropes attached to this inside ring and to the outside ring, and then also from the inside ring down. That's the look of it. So let's go back again and see. It looks like It's hard to say whether they're attached to, I'm going to say, different parts. So they're not the same thing. Okay, so let's try it. Let's see if we can get a good rope going here and do it without applying the modifier. So we have, this right here is rope, outer ring. Okay, so that's what this one is. And we have our array modifier, so we can turn that off and on. And then this mesh is the duplicate mesh that we created, which is the one that doesn't have the modifiers applied. So we're going to call this rope outer ring non-modified. Okay, just so we can come back to this if we need to. Let's go back to, I lost it. Okay, so we're here. So what we want to figure out now is this other mesh that we created up here, and this was sort of like our proof of concept. And I'm just going to go to it, and I'm going to just isolate it, and I'm going to try to wrap my head around what's happening with the scale here across the board. So we've got rope and a curve. The scale of the curve is fine, but the scale of the mesh isn't. If we apply the scale, we get a bit of a disaster, but I just don't know how that scale got to that. That's the part I don't get. You know, I don't remember. I'm just gonna go backwards. I don't remember doing the scale at all. You know, we've got this rope mesh. I don't remember changing the scale. I don't remember adjusting the scale. In fact, even all the curves and everything of this thing is odd. Okay, so the scale is fine now. Let's add the screw modifier. Yeah, okay, so this is fine. String the iterations up. And now we can add the curve modifier. And we can pick our curve. And we can set this to Z. And there we go. So we've got, you know, we've got a rope. You know, that looks fine. Don't see any issues with this. And then back to our mesh. Edit mode. To our mesh. And we just want to change the iterations. So it goes down. Okay, so this seems fine. Question is, how do we get this scale right? So I think if we take this and drop it in here, now we have the rope, and if we change the scale and we apply the scale, that's the problem. We can't apply. We can't rescale this rope down. Yeah, so that's basically the dilemma I'm having, and I gotta think through why that would be. Okay, let's go on the internet. Should we do a chat GPT troubleshoot? Do a chat GPT troubleshoot if we want. I've done this with the browser. Let's see if we can do it. This is kind of fun. I did this the other day. Yeah, let's try this. I'll share this in a second. So I'm just gonna say we are running into issues with Blender, looking for some help. Okay, and then what I'll do is I just got to get the window right. But if I bring on, I have a widget for Chrome. but I don't know where it went. Where did it go? Okay, give me a second. Chrome widget. Where is it? Okay, there we go. Okay, so we've got our Chrome widget and our Chrome thing. What we're just gonna do is grab this, we're gonna bring it down here. I don't know how bad this will be. I can scale it up and stuff. I just want to make it so it's not taking over the whole screen because we're going to troubleshoot as we go. So now I have to just get this in here. Sorry guys, a little bit. And then I think we can just crop it a bit. I think this is going to be enough. Hopefully this will be enough to see it. Okay, we'll do a little chat GPT troubleshooting and see what it tells me. Okay, so the problem is, okay, I can move this around. This is sweet. Okay, so our problem is I can't resize it. Okay, we have an array modifier. Okay, I have an object with and a screw modifier that also the screw modifier and a curve modifier. The screw modi is weaving 3 circles into the shape of a rope, and the curve modifier is controlling the ropes position and shape. Everything works great, but when I rescale the rope curve to make it smaller and then apply the scale, the entire rope warps into an unrecognizable shape. Help. Okay, just curious. Sometimes it gets some really good ideas. You know, it's really interesting. You know, to see if it does bring something up. Yeah, so, you know, it said make sure that the object scale is set to 111 before modifiers. That's true. Order screw should come before curve. That's fine. We don't want to apply it, though, because if we apply it, we lose our ability to control things. So, scale is correct. Order is correct. We can't apply, though, because it'll impact our ability to adjust the curve and modify the rope. Any other ideas? See if we get anything from this. Yeah, we did that. Select the rope shot. Apply scale. Yeah, we did that. So, you know, if we do this, we know that's gonna not work. And if we go do the curve, we know that's just affecting So can we, what is the clear scale? Is there a clear scale? I didn't know about clear scale versus... So just brought it back to the original. But the problem with this is, you know, like we've got these things and we could scale these in. That's fine. But like we want to change the overall. Just think about what's happening here. So if we bring the scale down and we apply the scale, oh man, yeah, this is just kind of got me a little bit confused, to be honest. I'm thinking about what's actually happening. I mean, it probably makes sense. It's just that if you know, we've got this scale of these things, which is affecting this. And then obviously we could adjust the, I don't actually know what the angle, I guess that's how much that is. But even like the iterations, 360, that's how far they are stretched. So I mean, you can easily change these. That's not a problem. It's just, I thought you'd be able to change the whole. Now it's not on the curve. Oh, that's probably that. Okay, so I guess the good news is that this doesn't affect, like, changing. You know, changing this. I don't know about 360 thing. Okay, that's interesting. It's just something to notice, that the amount of steps affects the quality. So you can get into that kind of thing. Okay, I mean, I guess I don't know whether... Okay, so I can... maybe that's the issue. You know what? That might be it. Okay, I think I know the problem. Okay, so it's stupid, actually. Honestly, it's dumb, and well, it's not dumb, but it's obvious once you find it. So, okay, so what's happening is the screw modifier is doing this in meters, right? So it's not doing it as a percentage. Like, I don't think you can do, you know, it's saying 0.34 meters. So when you rescale the object and then you tell it to apply the scale, it's now seeing that object as a much smaller size. So the actual screw, like, offset, I guess it is going to be way off. It's going to be like way out here. And that's why you get that weird stretching. So I actually think that this is just, it's a matter of tweaking these numbers for the size of the rope that we have individually. I think our system of this, you know, this curve along with the rope is actually working. It's just we have to understand when we're doing it There's a setting. Sorry, my brain just went to it. There's a setting here about to get this. I know there's a setting. Okay, I think we got it. I think we have it solved. The screw modifier is in meters for its offset. So when we change the size of the mesh, we're applying modifier to it deforms the modifier. It's gonna just agree. It's just gonna agree with me whatever I say. Yeah, thanks for getting me on that one. Try to remember this stuff in the perp. Well, you're not very helpful. What did I want to actually ask it? Okay, so this thing was useless. Let me see if it has this thing. Is there a setting to have the curve vertices show up in front of the mesh? Object properties, viewport display in front. Okay. Object properties, viewport display in front. Okay, cool. This is what I was looking for. It's very hard to see this mesh sometimes. So now I'm just going to get rid of it, get rid of these vertices, and then we're going to change our mesh to just like maybe 5 iterations. So just so we have kind of like a template here. And in fact, we're going to grab our curve, and we're just going to go like, let's just make sure this is I wish there was a way to just line this all up. There we go. Just wanted to make this just a simple shape because we're going to repeat this a bunch of times. So, okay, back in here, we'll bring the iterations down to 3, and then we've got it. Okay, so this is kind of our template. We've got modifiers ready, we've got the circles ready, we got the rope curve ready, and I think we can use this for the other parts. All right, so let's bring this back. And now we should be able to duplicate this whole thing and add this rope in here. So what we're going to do with this rope is we're going to go from the opposite corners. So we're going to go here. We'll tie it around onto here and then down. I think that's what we want from this thing. Yeah, it's just going to end. We'll do is we'll loop it under once and then down. That's the way it's hard to tell, but so it's coming down here. It's going to loop and in. Okay, let's do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this hierarchy. Okay, and this is going to be rope inner ring. And we can just get rid of this guy. Okay. Scale's good. I don't think that scale matters, hopefully. Okay. Let's go, it's up here. So we're going to bring it down, and we're going to make sure that the top, okay, we're going to make sure the top part of the curve going to be here. Now, I don't know how perfect this is going to have to be, but I'm going to hope that it doesn't have to be that bad. Okay, so basically this is going to be the part of the rope that's going to be the end. So it's going to get like a little bit confusing. But this will help a little bit. Okay, so rope curve. And then let's grab this one. Okay. So what we're doing is we're going to go something like this. Perspective can be really, one of those things. Yeah, the truth is I should probably doing it like this. And then we want it probably here, like this. As long as these don't obviously have to be like, it's actually nice if they are not, perfectly straight. It's not, it kind of gives a bit of character to it. Just sometimes getting the right perspective. Okay, so we're gonna go back. I wonder if there's any reason why we wouldn't just bring these, like, let these go way down. I think it hurts when it comes to, makes it like a little bit hard to imagine for the modeling stuff. So I'm gonna keep it. Okay, so we go back to the curve. And we can extrude down, extrude over, extrude up. Change this, go up here. And you can see we're just trying to kind of position these ropes in any way that kind of looks like it's somewhat natural. It's like, you know, Photoshop curves on steroids. That's what it is. And it's just like really getting, you know, I wonder if, I'm always interested if people have like really good techniques for this, but, you know, it's really just about getting, you know, really comfortable with like your different axes. And I mean, if you were modeling this properly, another thing is to set everything up so everything's on the proper lining. Definitely can. There's probably some good tricks to kind of do this efficiently, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's the same thing. The name of the game is trying to make the rope look like, you know, like a rope would fall. There's no real, you know, there's nothing really you can do. Okay, so now we can go back. We just have to switch, go to the rope, and we can change a few more iterations because we're going down. So let's go up like here. And then we're going to go back to the curve, edit. Now we have some more rope. Right? Kind of get the idea. Just trying to make it so that it's coming out on a pretty good angle. There we go. Fix these up. I've said this before, but if you're new to kind of doing curves, and again, I'm not an expert on this. Obviously, you can tell I'm not an expert, but one of the things I kind of said is that one of the things that you really want to do is make sure that you know, if these curve handles deviate far from the mesh, so if you see like this one here, you can kind of see it's inside the mesh. If they deviate far, you're going to get these weird shapes. And when it goes around a corner, it's certainly, you know, you kind of average it out. But for the most part, when you're trying to make a rope that's not, you know, it doesn't have any big bends in it or curves, these things basically need to follow the contour of the rope. And that's how you kind of make sure it's good. So now I take a look at it. You say, okay, it's interesting. Got kind of like a, you know, DIY look to it. But, you know, these are things I can always fine tune later. You know, get rid of the little curves in the rope, adjust it. The cool thing is if the modifier works the way that I was hoping this time, where it doesn't do this sort of crazy, you know, this crazy thing where it was going wonky before. We don't actually have like a spot to attach this to yet, but there we go. Something like that. Maybe we'll loop it around the bottom one. But the nice thing is if we don't do that, if we don't have to apply the modifier to do the array, which I'm hoping this works this time, because at least our rope itself is at the right scale. So we're going to try it. And it should be able to use the same exact array modifier, I think. And we should be able to set the origin point. So let's try this. We're going to take this guy here and we're going to set the origin point to the 3D cursor. So now the origin point is here. And now, did it mess up our rope? I don't think it did. No. Did it mess up our rope? It did. Interesting. Okay, so what would that be? What would that be? So that could be the issue. that we could have to apply it, which is really annoying. I would 100%, you know, like this is, I've seen different, I've seen plugins that do this, and I gotta say, I don't know what's on the Blender roadmap, but like non-destructive, you know, or like some way to sort of cache a version of a modifier. So apply the modifier, but, you know, keep the old version in parallel. And I don't know if that's just like difficult to do or what that is, but like in this scenario, we got a problem because if we apply the modifiers, we can't actually change anything about this rope after we apply the array. So we're kind of in this weird no man's land where we know we can apply it, but if we do it, we're going to end up with, you know, basically mesh that we can't adjust. But if we try to do this here, I think, again, maybe there's something that I'm missing, but it seems like to me that changing the origin point to this whole thing is going to cause all sorts of weirdness with the mesh. So you can see, we can try it. Let's try this here, and let's see if maybe we can just adjust the angle. To me, I don't think so. It's just sort of causing all sorts of little weirdness with the rope that doesn't look right. Yeah, it's too bad. Okay. Well, we're going to just keep up this kind of crappy approach. So we're going to call this ringer applied, and then we're going to apply all. So we now have an actual mesh. And then I think the origin of this one now we can change to the 3D cursor. It's not going to do anything because the modifiers aren't there. We can add a new modifier. We can call it array. We can change the offset. We can call this object offset. We can set it to the same empty. And I think, yeah, it should see it nicely. Will do the same thing. Now, when you look at this, what do you notice? Like, I messed up, right? I just saw it right away. Is that I got the scale way off. So on this guy, if you look at it, I mean, if anything, the ropes are the same, or this one's smaller. I would say they're smaller. So, yeah, we have, yeah, we got a little bit of a challenge. Okay, so let's fix this. So we're gonna basically delete this. We got to go to this one, and we're gonna have to adjust. We're gonna have to do what we were trying before, which was we're gonna adjust the scale. We don't want to do that. We're gonna try adjusting the scale of these actual rings. Okay. So we're gonna do. So let's take a peek at that rope. Maybe a little bit bigger. Say that's good. And now we can modify the amount of this to match, but it does really mess this up. I wonder what that is. Is it kind of, I didn't want to do this way at the beginning, and I wonder if my instincts were right. So let's go scale 0.5, no, scale 0.6, and then let's go scale 0.6, scale 0.6, and then where did our rope go? Okay. Now change the coils, but now we've got... Oh, that's so annoying. That's so annoying. So now what we got is basically... Oh, it's so annoying. This is why the array modifier would be really helpful here. It's kind of gonna be the death of me. Duplicate, rotate 120. No. Like, the interesting thing about this is that the curve is kind of independent of everything, right? Like, we didn't even, we could have hidden the mesh, of course, right, if we wanted to, and sort of got our curve, to where we wanted it. But why? But it's the rope that's really the nightmare here. So it's just a simple rope problem, and this is me following a tutorial that, quite frankly, I don't know, people thought it was a good idea. I never felt like it was if it was like totally the right way to do it. So I oddly don't know whether this being... Okay, so it's basically, is it at the world origin? It seems like it is, but it seems crazy that... Oh yeah, because I did set it up like that. Okay. It's so annoying. Okay. So we have this. We have our 3D cursor. Why? Okay, so why then if we duplicate, rotate, Z 120? Okay. Duplicate, rotate 120. Why does it do that? Rotate Z 120. Duplicate, rotate Z 120. Okay, fine. That's fine. Okay, I think these ones are fine. So if we turn on the modifier, that looks good. Probably like this looks fine. That rope is actually good. Oh, no. Okay, cool. It doesn't, to me, it's just something's odd that... Okay, so if we take that rope now... Oh, did we lose our... Oh, because we moved. Does this make you want to use Blender? Okay. We're gonna try. So we have our rope in the right place, and then we're gonna go back to here and we're gonna see what happens when we turn this modifier back on. No. It's hilarious. Okay, so our curve is in the right place. While we're here, let's just hit our scale of our curve. Okay. So we have this rope. Nothing's set up. And we want to... The rope is sitting here. Why can't we do add modifier, curve, change it to this, change it to Z. Okay. I don't really understand. I'm trying to remember how this works. I mean, yeah, it's just that it's annoying. I feel like maybe that's the origin problem. No. Well, I don't know. I gotta say that I still don't quite understand how this whole thing works. So I'm gonna have to do more research on it. And I definitely made it too small. There's life lessons in here. There's life lessons in here. You know, it's like we got a rope that is this part is not, it's fine, but even then you can see that it we messed something up when we did the scale. You know, it's just interesting to me. Okay, so see, the scale of this is I grow that out. Say we want this. Can we now apply? I mean, I don't know. Depends. And it's fine. It probably looks more like rope than the other one. It's just, it bothers me that I don't actually know how to control it the way that I want. That's annoying. Oh well. It's just super annoying. The rope looks fine like this. It's just a little bit weird that I don't actually know. Okay, let's keep it like this. Let's go change this curve. Don't actually know why that's not showing up now. swear if I never look at another curve in my life, I'll be happy for a bit. Okay. Okay, cool. This is fine for now. All right, so then this rope goes down. We do this one. Which we gotta do it again. So bring this in. Let's add a subdivide here. Bring this one up. This over. Something like that looks good. Cool. I wish there was a way to reset these handles. I suppose I could just dissolve the vertex. Just they've gotten like super hard to manage just because the scale went down. Okay, this looks good. And then this one here is probably fine. And then we go back to our object, go here, and change the iterations down until it ends like that. Okay. Maybe one more. There must be a better way. Okay, looks like we need another one. What sucks about this is I'm probably gonna, right after this, look online and I'm gonna find. I mean, I did look at a lot of tutorials, to be honest. And I didn't find anything that was like jumping off the page as being a good way to do this. So it just might be my lack of understanding of origins and scale and modifiers and how it all connects, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this. And we're going to call this rope inner ring applied. And And then we're going to do is we're going to apply all the modifiers, and then we're going to set the origin to 3D cursor, and then we're going to add an array, and then we're going to change it to the object offset. We're going to set this guy, and then we're going to set the count to 7, and there we go. Okay, so I mean, you get the idea. You know, it's sort of, you know, it's a good lesson with Blender, right? Is that, you know, these things work, but it's like if I was now to go, shoot, you know, the rope doesn't look right, I want to change the angle of one of the ropes, then I would have to either, you know, go back and reverse everything and then, you know, apply the modifiers again. I mean, I could just move the ropes individually. I mean, it's all fine. It's just, there's systematically the best way to do it is in a way where all the modifiers are there, they're not applied, and you can go through and you can adjust each individual little thing. You know, one thing would control the thickness of the rope. One would, like, that's a perfect way to have it. And, you know, you could reuse this object again and again where you knew that, okay, the rope only starts here. This is going to control the thickness, and then you know, maybe another slider to control how far it is apart. And it should just be like rope. It should just kind of act naturally, and it should handle anything. And then when you do the raise and stuff, everything should fit. And that's kind of how you want to do these things. It's not always practical when you're not, you know, you're still trying to learn this stuff. So, okay. So now we've got ropes on the inside, ropes on the outside. So now we need these big ropes coming from the top, which is going to be fun. I was really wanting to do a cloth simulation on this. And I'm almost tempted to do it. I don't know if it's going to be a good idea or not, because you would have, yeah, I mean, you'd have to have like the right length of rope. It'd get kind of messy. I don't think I'm going to bother. So if we look at this here, we kind of look at what's going on in that scene. You can see this one, it's got a lot of detail. You can see that the ropes, you know, I think if my guess in the way that Ryan did this is like, he probably made like some type of little connector here where it looks like the ropes kind of connect in and go over, but you never see where they go, which is probably smart, right? Because I mean, obviously this thing wouldn't be tied up. Like it looked like it to me. Yeah. When I looked at this originally, I don't have the detail. It's going to be fun to see his, and you know, maybe I'll keep this as is, but it looked to me that this rope was wrapping around. But now that I look at it, it might be that he just had kind of like a little, he kind of made like a little connector where the rope went into, and that would have made life a little bit easier. But mine's going to be, you know, the DIY version, which would be kind of funny, actually. I like how the rope is just sort of being strung along like that. It's kind of cool. Okay, so now we got to do the same thing. This time we need probably the same size rope as the outside. And we're going to do these ropes with the little loose part, which is going to be interesting. Okay, so let's do, you know, let's try something. Let's duplicate this. Let's not worry about the ray for now. Right now, let's duplicate this. Oh, did I just break it? So what was I doing there? I was looking for this guy, and I need to duplicate. Well, that's the one that has no. It's this one. I mean, I don't know if you're watching this, Like, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about with how messy this is and how it just like, yeah, it works, but you really can imagine a world where like you could just really simply control everything, the thickness of the rope, and something's just not right. Okay. So this is we're going to call this rope balloon. Okay. We'll call this rope balloon curve. And we're going to take a peek at what we got here. So I think the rope or everything on this one is good. So really we just need to do the curve, which is already here. And I'm trying to remember which way this went. So that's fine. We can do this one from the bottom up. Or not. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring this down. We're going to see where these guys are attached to. They're attached to, and they almost look like they're going under and up to, man, it's so hard to tell what's going on here. These are the ropes. So they're going in here. They're going into, it looks like the same one as this, but they're going every other, but then there's one here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a lot of these things. I feel like there's more. So they're going into every slot of this thing. So they're going into going like into every spot here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab this curve and we're going to grab all of these and we're deselect this one. Actually, best way to do this is probably to select this one and then, oh, why can't we do? Weird. Okay. I'm so confused right now. This is where, like, you know, it's funny because one of the reasons I started the stream was because of this type of thing where, you know, like, if, like, for me, again, I understand what's happening here. Like, so I understand the basics of this, but I don't understand it to a level where I feel really good about it. And one of the things I like to do is then, you know, go down a bit of a rabbit hole in terms of understanding and learning. And, you know, I might look up all these different ways to do this, and I'll kind of go into like a bit of a, I get a little too focused. Yeah, like it's this balance between how far do you go in terms of learning to do something the right way versus getting a project done. So this holds me a little bit accountable because I can't just sit here on the stream and watch, you know, 6,000 YouTube videos on how the right way to model a rope is in Blender, because I would do that. And you know, you just end up getting in a situation where you never actually, it's not that you never get any work done, it's just that you just can put yourself in a weird spot. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with this part of the rope. But yeah, so let me get where's my reference here? I'll have to bring this up. So these guys are going to go out and then curve up, and I think this is where like a simulation would really be helpful, because it's kind of hard to model this in a way that, you know, looks supernatural. But we're going to try it. It might be, again, nice to hide this, even though it's got to connect eventually. Oh. Curve. Yeah, there we go. Get the basic shape and then we'll adjust it. Probably need our balloon back. I just need a reference down here. Definitely going to go down a bit more. Something like this is getting a little better. That's the basic shape. And we're going to go back to this rope, and we're going to add some more iterations so it comes up. Oh, most we can do is 100. Awesome. Stretch this out a little bit. Okay. Cool. So this guy is going to attach on here, and we don't know yet how much rope we're going to need for this, but we can kind of get a look at it. Just to see. The main thing is that it's, yeah, so see how it comes out here. I think the main thing is going to be that this lines up okay. So we'll line it up first here. And then we can probably do it this way. It would probably be pretty nice. So if we get these curves, since we're at kind of this view, we're only really affecting it's not how it's that's funny. Yeah, like I was kind of saying before, that the issue is if you don't get your modifier, if you don't get this stuff right now, then you gotta, and you can't you can't do the array modifier. Sorry, you can't do the array modifier without applying the other modifiers. The issue is that you can't come back and fix this stuff. This is I was a little bit worried about, because trying to make this kind of feel natural is a bit of a challenge. It's getting there. Comes down, kind of drops, and then the rope would just sort of have a bit of slack. It's probably really this part here that's a bit of the challenge. There's also, I don't know if it's useful here or not, but I've used it. I used it on the fishing line. There's a smooth. Like you could add a bunch of subdivisions of this, and then you can smooth it, and it'll end up with something that, like, I think if I do, like if I did all this, just kind of fun to see if it works. Yeah, see? I didn't really do a good job. I think it's, you have to have equal geometry, and like there's a bunch of stuff you gotta do for that to work right. Some days like this on the stream, I just wish someone would come in and be like, you idiot. You know, here's how you do it. Don't have an ego when it comes to that stuff. It's just beautiful to have somebody tell you that you didn't do everything wrong. It's not bad. It's a little bit weird down here, but all things considered, I'm kind of happy with how that looks right now. Okay, there we go. So let's just double check. We still have, and we just should check this side. This looks okay. This looks okay. I think this is solid. Pretty happy with that. So let's just make sure this one is pinned on to here. And I guess we're gonna go wrap up one of these. Or I think we're just gonna tuck this behind. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Alright, so then we lost our rope. Kind of just something like that. We're just gonna get it. Not clip through the balloon. Okay. I think I'm pretty good with that. This needs some thickness. I don't know. I thought I had a modifier on this. This one has one. Here we go. Okay, let's not mess around too much. Let's just go. I know there's some clipping there, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna see if we can bring this down a couple. Yeah, so we'll go 1, 2, and we'll just have it tuck in there for now. Okay, so there's our outside rope. And then we're gonna go back to the balloon and we're gonna duplicate it. And we're gonna go balloon applied. Okay. And then we're gonna get rid of this one and we're gonna apply all the modifiers. And then we're gonna set the origin to 3D cursor. Don't think it's gonna hopefully affect anything. And then we're gonna add an array and we're gonna change it to object offset. We're gonna grab our same empty. Ooh. This could be an issue. Okay, thank God. think that works. I mean, there might be, he's got like, I see 3 here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I see 9, but I don't know if like maybe I just miscalculated how many were elsewhere. But I'm pretty happy with those, I think. Okay, and then the last one is gonna be painful. And I don't actually know the right way to do this one. You know, it's almost, you could almost imagine it being a texture, but it's not. So, you know, if, okay. I have to take a quick break and think about this. I mean, so we know what we have to do. I mean, you know what this looks like. I mean, what it is basically the rope is going up and it's doing a loop and going here. It's a net, and I'm sure there's good videos. But the fact that I've got to do, I'm either gonna be, it's gonna be an interesting experience. If Ryan sends me these files, I feel like I'm either gonna be blown away of like, holy crap, that's what a like seasoned 3D artist, like that's how they model something. And it's like they just had a process, a plan. It looks obvious to me, the level of details there. Or, you know, you learn that there's not like a knock or anything. It's just you have to make trade-offs and decisions. And I don't actually know what he would have done here to trade that off. Whether he would have just added a texture, whether he would have done it, used a simulation. I know like Cinema 4D is pretty good with simulation, but to me that would be, I mean, like I could imagine making a net. Like I could imagine making like some rope where it was almost like put into an array modifier to make a net, and then doing like a cloth simulator to drop it over this balloon, and then it's going to just hang down, and then you could cut it at this line. So you could just go like this and cut everything. And it's funny, I feel like I saw simulator, Blender, a net. Like I feel like I saw this in a video for, it was like one of the 3D guys on YouTube, and he was making a scene and he did a net. And he was, you know, it was one of those fast videos where he's just like, okay, do this, make it, put a cloth simulator, and then boom, he dropped the net. And it looked great, but I don't know. I'm just looking. I'll switch to full screen so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, he's going to drop that over top of the guy. And that's kind of the idea. I'm just modeling a net.
I unsubdivide. Time iteration to 1 to adjust the thickness.
Oh, okay.
by
That's an interesting
step.
idea. Wireframe modifier, never thought of that.
And if you want to adjust to 1, it's then unsubdivide.
What did he do to make it?
If you are doing it for the
Oh, that's interesting. There's
Hello,
our net.
Redheads. My name is Noel Rich and I speak to you from Argentina.
Yeah.
In the next,
See
in the
that?
next 5 minutes in this quick video tip,
Isn't
we're
that
going to see
beautiful?
how to build this net.
This is
You
an
can
old
see
version of
here
Blender, but I
we have
love
a
this.
simple empty to control some
Oh,
kind of
that's super
brick
cool.
on the net. But let's begin with the tutorial and see how
Let's see what he
this
does here.
was done.
This is old version of Blender, but I love.
This is the way A to build this net. I'm going to do a second video about this. You can watch it in Spanish if you want, if you like. First, we're going to add a plane, which we're going to subdivide
Okay.
a few times. Now I don't like this squarish grid. I like to have a diagonal one to build my net. So
What the heck
I'm
did
going
you just
to
do?
add decimate modifier,
Okay.
and I'm going to take iterations based on subdivision.
Okay.
But instead of giving it 2, I'm going to give it only 1 iteration, and this give this not a pair.
That's interesting.
say
Okay.
an even
That's easy
number.
enough. And
One
then add a
instead of
wireframe
2,
modifier.
Give us this beautiful
Okay.
diagonal pattern. Just I want to subdivide one more. Okay, here we go. Once I had my decimate
That's interesting.
applied, I select the
It'd be
four
super cool to
four
do this with the
corners,
net, but I don't know if that's gonna be
create
possible.
a new group and assign
So he gets the
corners
corners.
to the group.
He sets them
Now
as their
Control
own
H
vertex.
to add a hook
He does a
to
hook.
these 4 vertex, and you can see that I can move the vertex with
Oh, he puts
this
the empty on the hook.
It's
Okay.
going to come handy in a few seconds. Now we're going to take our plane and we're going to add some cloth dynamics to it, and the cloth falls. It falls because it was not pinning.
Okay. So he turns on
And
pinning.
now I tick
He's
pinning,
gonna pin.
and I change this group name to points,
That was kind of useless.
and now set the pinning group point. Now the
Okay.
cloth it's pinned to those 4 vertex that I have assigned to this point group. I'm going to play a bit more with these parameters. Here,
I mean,
maybe let's here we go. Okay, more or less our net is done. Our net is done, but it still looks as a subdivided plane. The last step to have our net is to add a wireframe modifier. Now all our edges are converted to this kind of squarish mesh, which gives some volume and this net appearance. And this is it. Quick tip and simple, and you have our web. The only problem that you can find with this technique is that the triangulate modifier may do some weird points, weird edges when you
the problem
force
is with this technique is that okay. So basically, what I could do is I could get this whole thing out of here. So I have the rope of all my empties. I could bring this into another scene, and I could try to do it. Like, yeah, you know what? Let's try it. Why not, right? Why not? Okay. So we're just going to get rid of all this. We're going to go in, we're going to append the after projects Cathedral working Blender. Name card. 1.3.9 and collection, and we're gonna get the airship. Okay, and then we're gonna go back to our Blender screen. Okay, so we have this airship, and there it is. Okay, this is gonna be fun. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create essentially this grid. So we got to kind of get the sizes pretty close. So we're just gonna go add mesh plane, and we're gonna make the plane enough to kind of drape over top of this thing. So say 25 meters is probably good. And then we're going to bring this thing up over top, and we're going to subdivide it. And we're going to get to something that we think is close to what those were. I would say that. So in between those things, there are, you know, there's basically one mesh per. So the size of these things are around the size of the, so this is probably a little bit aggressive. So let's say this, okay? So now we want to try to see if we add that modifier and we do decimate and we try that unsubdivide by 1. Does that work? How do you see it? Would I see it here? No. Okay. Cool. Okay. So now let's add the wireframe modifier. And then let's add some thickness to it. Something like that. Oh, you gotta go, do you? Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna try this. I don't know if we have to apply this modifier. I want to change the, how do we do the, okay, the boundary looks good. Can't remember if the edge crease does anything or not. Okay, good enough. Let's try this. Okay. Physics, add object, no. Cloth. Okay, that's actually good. Now we're gonna add collision. I don't think we need to even do anything to this. Let's just let that play. Come on, work. Oh, it's been so long since I played with simulation. That was actually really fun. I got a kick out of that. Okay, so now we actually have to figure out the mass and all that stuff of it. Like, we probably need to bring down the tension, maybe. Okay, that didn't do anything. What about the vertex mass? Okay. Oh, I'm so happy I did this. So fun. I'm curious what all these things do. Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting with those settings. I have to see if maybe I can find some. I mean, it's not the weight. It's like... Let's just see what happens. Well, first of all, okay. First of all, the mesh is way too... We messed that up. Because probably, I guess, our scale... we got something wrong there. Maybe it's stretching. So we're going to have to, unfortunately... Let's see if we can subdivide this. Yeah, we can. Ooh, it does some weird stuff. Okay. Let's do this again. Mesh plane. Subdivide. Go a little further this time. Something like that. Okay, let's go here. And then we want to add the modifier. Decimate by 1. Apply. Okay. That looks good. Add the wireframe. Add our wireframe modifier. Add a boundary. Change the thickness. It looks pretty good. Bring this back up. Add cloth. Add our cloth. Add, let's call it 2 kilograms for now. And then we already have our thing on here. So let's see what happens here. Okay. Hey, we're getting close, right? We're getting close. Because now if we look at this, we have like, you know, we can rotate, we could cache that simulation, then we could rotate it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we look for like anything around bending. So I think that we want as much bending as we can. And I think that probably our tension can go down. And then let's just run that again. See if that does any better. There's still like a lot of tension in this, which is odd. So let's just see, I'm curious, if we just set everything to 0, what it does. Okay, let's try that. See what happens. Whoa, okay, that's not good. Okay, we can't do that. Oops. Okay, default. I'm going to look up the best settings for, we could do chat, best cloth settings for fish net. It's kind of what this is, not really, but, so I'm just looking up cloth simulator settings.
Welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we'll learn all cloth simulation settings in Blender 3.0. Let's get started the lecture.
Oh, that's cool. Let's do that.
Better cloth physics.
Okay, we got to this part.
And add subdivision surface modifier for the cloth. Set
Okay.
the subdivision level to 2 for viewport and render. Quality steps is the number of the simulation steps per frame. Higher values
That's
result.
fine.
Let's set the quality steps to 10
That's not, I don't think, our issue, but we can change that.
of the cloth. Let's set this value to 10 and play the simulation.
Okay.
As you can see,
Oh,
the cloth
interesting.
almost will go through the cube because it weights too much. Collision section and enable the self-collision option.
Oh, interesting. Soft collisions, okay.
There we go. Let's set the vertex weight to 0.3 again. Air viscosity determines how dense the air is around the cloth. If we set this value to 5, we can see the cloth falls down slower.
Oh, that's super cool. That's super cool.
There are two different bending models, angular and linear. Angular model bends the cloth edges smoother. Linear bends the cloth edges sharper. Stretching. To see better this effect on the cloth, set the cloth stiffness parameters.
Okay, this is what we care
The
about.
first one is tension. This determines how much the cloth resists stretching. To see better this effect on the cloth, set the cloth mass to 10 kilograms, and set the tension value 0.5. As you can see, the cloth is stretching too much. We can fix the clipping problem increasing collision distance.
That's interesting.
Let's set the tension value to 50, and play the simulation again.
So this is gonna go, it's gonna just barely bend. Oh, it actually did pretty.
This time we can see the cloth is not stretching too much. The cloth has become more stiff. Compression determines how much the cloth resists compression. Let's add a new cube object and plane in the scene. Right-click and move the new objects. Set the vertex mass to 20 for the 0.15 again. X-axis slight and play the source.
Oh, okay.
And 2 in the. Let's set the bending to 20. As you can see, the cloth doesn't fold much.
Oh, yeah.
It
We
look.
want that.
Let's go over damping section now.
Let's dampen.
Damping values determines how fast the tension, compression, shear and bending behaviors damps. Stretching damping takes time.
Okay. You know, this is not bad. It's just the stretching. Hey. That's not bad. Okay. So let's just take a peek at what it did. So if we look at our reference, the difference is that it really didn't these things really didn't change their shape, and they're on perfect angles. So they're, interestingly enough, like this, they're not terrible, but there's just probably a little bit too much stretching going on here. And I'm almost wondering what'll happen if we cut out. See, when it goes in, you really only need to, like, either these need to be smaller or bigger so that as this goes, this part looks fine. And then we would want it to be like, so this, okay, so right here, Something just slightly off. They cut at the corner at the half. So these would be can't quite get my head around this right now. So these are perfect so that they're basically the corners are the diamonds are half and then they come up from that. So if we look at the edges, these diamonds are kind of here. What is shearing again? We're getting close though. So the shape is a little bit better. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just that they still are stretching a little bit. I'm just gonna try, just test this. No, right? No. Oh, we need, I think, more tension. Okay, so see now we've got almost got the corners. It's still a little bit. Okay. It's weird that some of these, just the way they fall. It's just the weight. gonna work. Okay. I mean, we're close. It's just I'm trying to. I mean, I have to almost break this down. There's more of this net, but for some reason when I'm doing it, it just it's like it even falls slightly. Yeah, it's dead center. I mean, it should fall. Oh. It kind of comes back to life. It's to do with the weight. It has to do with how much the weight pulls down, which is super interesting. So you almost want to have like you almost want to have it to be a circle. You know, like if you had this thing as was a circle. Trying to think of the right shape to. This is really close. It's just. How does net work? There's a line. Nope. Reverse order. Oops. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not at all. But I'm curious. Okay, so we have kind of a circular net. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but we're going to see. So now we can get rid of our net here for now. Actually, we probably get to turn off its cloth simulation. Yeah, okay, cool. And now this one's going to have a cloth simulation. And actually, we might as well just copy. Can we copy the modifiers? Cool. Okay, so let's go. Let's turn this one on and then hit play. Okay, so it's going to drop. Okay, that's didn't have any of the settings, but that's fine. Because we need to go to here and we're going to just change it to 2. And we're going to change this to 5, and we're going to kind of change these to 1, and we're going to hit play. See what this does. Damn thing bounces right off. It's interesting. Okay, oh yeah, we also want to do a wireframe modifier. Add a little thickness to it. That's fine. We'll put this above. Okay. Oh, no. Below, I guess. I feel like it's going to cause issues, but we'll see. Okay, so what is it about that's different? Quality says it's a kilogram 50.10. Okay. So this is 50.10. think that might be the best one that I've had so far. Well, it's not perfect. He's doing some funky stuff here, but these lines are better, although there's just really a lot of it's just not. Oh, it's just not what I want. It sucks. It sucks. Like if the mesh just made it to the edge, I could see it, but it's so messy. Like I don't even know what goes on with why the edges get so weird. It's really weird. Everything looks really good until we get to here. And then this sort of just kind of loses a bit of its like shape. And I don't actually know why. It's honestly like it seems like it's the weight of whatever is, kind of not or at the bottom. So if you look at the simulation, you can see as it gets to here, everything goes well except these pieces at the bottom. Like this stretches out. Like I don't know what you would need to do to make that consistent other than there's something to do with the pattern. But you need this and this. You don't need all this. Like you could pinpoint what you don't need. Oh man, losing momentum. It's 5:30. We had 7 minutes left on this stream, and this is probably not going to be something I'm going to solve, unfortunately. I mean, we got a lot of rope in here, which is good, and we could manipulate this. We could. Interesting. You could probably get into some crazy detail. It just seems like that's a little bit crazy to do. 120. Bake this. Can't remember now how we... So wait, I just can't remember. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, we have it. We could now go and we just crashed. All right, well that's a good sign. All right, I'm going to end the stream here. Basically, I'm going to have to figure that out, get that cloth simulation running, and then get that rope on the top of the balloon, and then we can light it. We can definitely do the cloth simulation for those little banners. Those will be fun. It'd be fun to do the little banner part here. These would be kind of fun cloth simulations to do. And then we put some lights inside this thing, get some texture, hopefully get some this detail here from Ryan, and then we can call this one a wrap, and then we're moving on to the Skull of Lucy. So I think that's going to be it. I'll be back tomorrow morning working on this one. That'll be 5:30 a.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you